Hello everyone. Have you ever felt like someone was following you? Maybe you even suspected there were surveillance cameras somewhere in the corners of your room. Well, more often than not, such fears are completely unjustified. But in some situations, it is really possible to get captured on a surveillance camera. For example, if you're in a public place or in some protected area. Usually, there's absolutely nothing interesting to be seen in the recordings from these cameras, unless of course some crime or funny incident occurs. And today, we will show you these funny stories. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see even more cool videos. Let's get it on. Who do valiant police officers usually have to catch? Well, minor offenders and sometimes really bad villains. In any case, police work barely looks the same way it's often portrayed in movies, though this incident, which happened in Stamford, Connecticut, would be perfect for some comedy movie script. It all started when local police officers noticed a pig on the street. What could be easier than catching this animal, which doesn't seem very agile? The officers thought so too, and in the end, they chased the animal for a good 45 minutes. The trash can helped capture the beast. Only this way, the fugitive was finally caught and taken to the shelter. Our pets always give us a reason to have a good laugh, even when it seems to be no reason for fun at all. We don't know how this girl's day began, but after walking her dog, it clearly became a little better. Just watch her burst into laughter at the antics of her beloved pet. The dog clearly mistook the owner's fur collar for a toy, and it seems didn't understand what it did wrong. Many girls dream of getting a marriage proposal, not during the usual dinner at home, but under some special circumstances. Men come up with all sorts of ideas to impress their beloved ones. They organize street flash mobs, shoot touching videos, and even create treasure hunts. This guy also thought of everything. He took a box with a ring to a match of his favorite team. When the camera suddenly showed a close-up of the couple during the game, the young man gestured to the operator to keep filming them and reached for the ring. The girl was ready to scream with joy when suddenly this spectacular scene was interrupted by some fan. We're certain that this didn't prevent the young man from proposing to his beloved, but the effect of surprise, of course, was already irrevocably lost. What do you think? Was it a good prank? The last milliseconds of any sporting event are the most important ones. You can't afford to make even the slightest mistake, because the balance of power can change literally in the blink of an eye. However, many athletes have the strange habit of celebrating their victory prematurely. Often, they end up losing because of it. Here, see for yourself. It'd seem that the outcome of this contest is obvious. Frenchman Tanguy Pepio is clearly winning, with just a few meters left to the finish line. That's nothing compared to the 3 kilometers that he ran before, right? Apparently, the athlete thought so too. So he began to triumphantly raise his hand and gesturing to the crowd. It is easy to guess that such movements reduce the running speed. It's baffling how Pepio didn't think about it. American runner Merrin Simon, who was right behind him, needed just a couple of moments to catch up and snatch that victory from his opponent. Yeah, the story's very sad, but it teaches a valuable lesson. The brown bear is one of the largest predators on Earth. You won't wish anyone to encounter it in real life. This beast packs a powerful blow, and it's almost impossible to escape from its tenacious grip. However, this doesn't mean that formidable animals can't be cute, especially when it comes to the smallest representatives of this species. Just watch how the bear on this video is trying to catch snowflakes with its paws, and you'll be convinced. We bet that this is the sweetest thing you've seen today. If you told an ordinary American who lived 200 years ago that it was illegal to ride a horse on the road, he'd definitely think you'd gone mad. Though it seems this modern cowboy has no regard for the law. Last year, the rider decided to race a police car in the middle of the Chicago freeway. Chasing the offender took more than 20 minutes. He periodically switched to a trot or a step, and then again started up the road at a gallop. But in the end, the man was surrounded by patrol cars and there was nowhere nowhere to retreat. He later told the officers that this was his way of expressing his protest against the abuse of children. The defendant did not explain, though, what this had to do with riding a horse in the middle of the city. It's a sad twist of events. Because of his antics, the American was accused of abuse, although towards animals, not kids. Turns out that riding on such a hard surface as asphalt is almost harmful to the horse's legs. As a result, right after the arrest of the offender, the animal was taken to a medical institution, where it had to go through a rehabilitation course for some time. Yeah, real cowboys don't do things like that. Sometimes we all do very stupid things due to a lack of focus. We look for glasses that are already on our heads, leave our phone in strange spots, or forget to turn down the fire on the stove in time. But the girl from this video didn't even suspect that she missed an important step in her work. Only when she noticed a strange movement behind her, she realized she'd forgotten to close the dust container on her garden vacuum cleaner. Well, it's okay, it could be worse. We don't want to bore you with unnecessary hints, but still, you probably know that jumping into the water from mountain cliffs is unsafe. You can always slip and hit a piece of bulging rock, and the seabed in a particular spot can be very nasty. But this daredevil is an Australian, so he's not afraid of anything in his life. He was bold enough to make a jump, but real trouble awaited the poor fellow after. As soon as the guy resurfaced, he immediately heard the heart-rending cry of a friend from the top of the cliff. "Shark! Shark!" Diving back into the water, the guy looked closely and froze. A large great white shark was actually swimming just a few feet away from him. At some point, it was so close that even the viewer's heart begins to pound a little harder. Just imagine what the author of the video felt back then. However, in some miraculous way, he managed to maintain his composure and reach the coast safe and sound. Do you think you could handle that too? Do you remember how in 2016 people were crazy about the new Pokemon Go game and spent hours walking around their cities in search of Pikachu? Back then, many doctors praised this app because it encouraged people to walk more. So, one contemporary artist decided to do something similar. But first things first. In January of this year, several residents of Minneapolis saw a very strange scene in a local park. A Neanderthal man frozen in a huge block of ice. For many, the strange installation seemed scary, confusing and awe-inspiring. So, people immediately began to share their discovery on social networks. No wonder more and more people began to come to see the Neanderthal from the Ice Age. It soon became clear that this installation was created by some contemporary artist. He really wanted people to take a break from social media and just walk along the picturesque paths of the park, even if it was a creepy art object which made them do it. Well, the person inside is, of course, not real, nor is the ice. In fact, what you see is an ordinary statue enclosed in a monolith made of plexiglass and epoxy resin. You probably know that several space agencies of the world are planning to launch missions to Mars in the coming decades. NASA is no exception. The agency is building a new super heavy rocket, the SLS, which will someday fly to the Red Planet, powered by its 4 engines. In the meantime, engineers regularly test the RS-25, a new generation rocket engine that runs on liquid oxygen and hydrogen. Such launches look no less impressive than some scenes from Star Wars. Just imagine that one day, a rocket with 4 such engines will travel to space. Argentine journalist Diego DeMarco once traveled to the Buenos Aires suburb of Sarandí to report on pickpockets on the streets. Can you guess what happened next? Yeah, his phone was stolen right before the broadcast. The camera and many witnesses didn't stop the thief either. The good news is that there can't be a better illustration for this report. Words just can't describe it.
Estaba por salir a la...
If you still think that girls can't stand up for themselves, then just take a look at this Amazon from Colombia. She went to work along the same street for many days in a row, and each time she heard dirty words and obscene comments from one man. One day, the girl ran out of patience. After hearing another sleazy comment, she stopped, went to the annoying man, and gave him a good dose of her pepper spray. He really deserved it. Sometimes you're so immersed in your thoughts that you don't notice anything that happens around you. Turns out that this happens not only with people, but also with birds, which are usually pretty cautious and easy to spook. How else could you explain the fact that this bird stood on the racetrack for so long, not noticing the roar of the engines around? It's got lucky though. Just look at this acrobatic stunt. For many people, surfing is an extreme activity. But if you live in Australia, then surfing could be your usual pastime, or even a real way of life. Teenager Jed Gradison is one of those people who don't part with their surfing boards. He could never expect such an adventure could happen to him. Here's what happened. A dolphin was riding the same wave the guy was. There was no way that it could calculate the trajectory of a young surfer. As a result, the animal simply collided with Jed's board, hitting it with its nose. The blow was so strong that it even made a dent on the surfboard. It's difficult to say which of these two was more frightened. To be honest, we suspect that this is not a real bear, but an animated character from some Pixar cartoon. He's just too cute to be real, right? First, the bear sits down to say hello to a couple passing by. Then, suddenly, he starts waving to them, just like a man. He also catches a piece of bread they toss to him, just like a first-class catcher at a baseball game. Admit it, you just want to cuddle him. We, of course, have already seen a bunch of videos with the failures of wannabe thieves, but this is perhaps the most epic of them all. What could be worse than losing your own pants at the moment when you want to look as cool as possible? Instant karma in action. They say that there are delivery guys who don't shy away from eating pizza toppings while taking the elevator to the client's apartment, and some of the delivery service employees may even turn into the Grinch who stole Christmas. This story happened in Sarah's family at the end of last year. At first, the woman was surprised to find out that the package she was expecting was marked as delivered in the app, although she didn't receive anything. Then, she decided to check the recordings from the surveillance cameras just in case. And then, finally, she saw this scene. The Amazon delivery guy who was delivering another small parcel looks at the package left by the previous delivery guy and, without thinking twice, he picks it up and leaves. Wait, that's illegal. Sometimes victory can literally make you dizzy. This Japanese athlete, who came first at the initial stage of the Olympic speed skating competition, was beyond himself from joy. It's amazing how he covered more than 1,500 feet at almost superhuman speed and nailed all the turns, but couldn't give a high five. He'd probably just run out of strength. Choosing a sports arena as a place for a first date is definitely a bad idea. After all, you may not like the person that much, but nothing can stop the kiss cam. Thankfully, the hero of this video came fully prepared for the potentially embarrassing situation. Moreover, this story happened on February 14th, but next to him was not his new date, but his own sister. This is what he wrote on a piece of paper, which he took out of his pocket at the right time. Okay man, we got the message. Hold on a second. Do you want to see some crazy stories from real life? Nothing dull, only action, only adventures, chases and fights, love confessions and sudden betrayals. Don't believe us? Well, follow the link and see for yourselves. Our animation channel Private Diary reveals the deepest secrets. Don't forget to subscribe.